In today's video, I'm going to ask a phenomenally important question, and that question is, how much silver do you need in your stack? Like, is there a certain goal you're trying to hit, a certain number of ounces? Is there a certain percentage of your wealth or your savings that you're trying to put in silver? I would love to know. Now, if you don't want to leave that comment down below because you want to remain private, I totally get it. But if you want to answer that, I would love to know what you're doing, because that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, this topic comes off of the back of all the people that I talked to at the Tulsa, Oklahoma coin show. Man, it was a great coin show. And while some people got in front of camera and talked to me, and I did that video, I put it out on the channel, the other day, many people just talked to me. They didn't want to get in front of the camera. They wanted to remain private. They didn't want to put their face in front of a camera. And I totally get that. Totally understand. It took me a very long while before I was even feeling comfortable doing it. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm a YouTuber. But many people told me why they stack silver. And I want to get into some of those reasons. And I want to talk about how much silver I feel that I need in my personal stack. This doesn't mean that this is for everybody, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here giving financial advice, so don't take it for anything other than conversation. But I want to talk about why people are stacking, how much I'm going to have into my stack. So let's go ahead and do it, but do me a favor really quick. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. I am on the road to 200,000 subscribers and would love your support. So thank you very much. You guys are awesome. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. All right, so I want to start off with why I heard, the most common thing I should say that I heard from people at the coin show of why they stack. And that most common answer was simply that they don't trust this thing right here. This is a fiat dollar bill. Now, what has happened to this fiat dollar bill over the course of, let's say, the last 40 years or so? Well, it's lost a lot of its value. We can fold it in half and then in half again. I mean, I probably can't fold this thing enough. You know, what is it? You can fold a piece of paper a max of like 6 or 7 times or something like that. I probably cannot fold this dollar bill enough to display how much value it has lost over the course of a lot of time. And it's really unfortunate, but true. But even in the last 4 years, you know, I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. Listen, I know McDonald's is not healthy. You don't have to scold me down below. I go to the gym. I take care of myself most of the time. But every once in a while, you buy something and eat something you shouldn't eat. But anyway, we were going through the McDonald's drive-thru, and, you know, we noticed that the apple pies were $1.99 each. Now, it wasn't very long ago that you could get 2 apple pies. I mean, it could have been, what, 5-6 years? Maybe my mind's gone, but it wasn't long ago that you could get 2 apple pies for $1, and now you need $4 to get 2 apple pies. So you'd have to fold this in half twice like this. This is what that dollar looks like buying a McDonald's apple pie. And I know not everything is multiplied in price 4 times. Gasoline, for example, actually is coming down lately. And while it is more expensive than it was, say, in 2019, 2020, it is, it's definitely not 4 times what it was. So, but the point is, I guess, is that everything is so much more expensive these last 4 years, housing and rent, you know, it's just crazy. So, you know, I worry all the time about what my kids are going to do if the value of the dollar continues to decrease. Now, one thing that's done a really good job of keeping up with that value of the dollar decreasing is what it used to be backed by, right? So our dollar used to be backed by a silver dollar. You used to be able to take a dollar bill into the bank, get a silver dollar, which has 0.7734 ounces of silver. You were guaranteed to have your dollar. Every dollar printed was backed by silver and gold. That is not the case anymore, unfortunately. And ever since we went off of the gold and silver standard, this thing has continued, like I said, to completely devalue. Very unfortunate, but true. Silver has not done that. You can still get this. We'll actually use the silver dollar as an example. So since our dollars became a fiat dollar, the value of silver has kept up with what silver has been doing. You can still get roughly the same amount of home buying power as you could in the 60s. With this silver dollar, you can get, like I said, the same amount of gas, roughly the same amount of food. You can't say that for this. So if you would have put these under your bed instead of these, you would have been doing yourself a disservice. Now, listen, I know many people are going to comment down below and quickly point out that, you know, sure, well, if you had bought Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, or if you would have bought Berkshire Hathaway in the 80s, or if you would have bought Amazon, or even recently, if you would have bought Nvidia, you would be a millionaire today. Well, of course, but every single one of those investment opportunities, they all come with risk, especially Bitcoin, but they all come with risk, right? There's always the opportunity for those things to be devalued completely to zero. Whereas silver and gold, this beautiful precious metal right here, will never be worth zero. will never be worth zero. And so you are putting it into something that is a safety, not necessarily something that's going to make you a bunch of money. Because I expect that, let's say that our dollar doesn't completely collapse, right? I expect that in 20 years, these silver rounds right here will be worth roughly what they are today, but not in dollar amount, in trade for goods and services. I imagine that you'll be able to get roughly the same amount of gasoline in 20 years as you can today with this 1 ounce silver round. That's what I mean. You probably get more dollars, but it's going to take more dollars to buy that gasoline. So that's why a lot of people at the coin show said that they stacked. That was the most common reason. Now, another reason that came up wasn't because of inflation, but it was actually doom and gloom hyperinflation. Now, I am not a doom and gloomer, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, the primary reason is that I actually don't want it to happen. And so you kind of have that mindset of, well, if you think something's going to happen, it probably is going to. I don't want to have the mindset that is going to happen. I prepare for it, of course, right? So it's not just gold and silver. Let me be very clear here for those that think gold and silver is going to be the most important thing if we really do see a dollar collapse and we see the US go into like massive chaos, into another civil war or whatever it's going to be, or everyone's fighting each other for the last scrap of food on the streets. Let me be very clear in my opinion here, okay? This is not going to be very important. Not at first, not even close. That first 6 months, maybe a year, even more. The most important thing is going to be, I actually had someone at the coin show give me this term, and I love it because it's something I feel safe using on YouTube until they catch on, I guess. But one of the most important things is going to be the ability to protect yourself, your family, and what you have. It's going to be having food and water and medical supplies and land and a safe place to stay, and the ability to protect, like I said, your family. And so that term I heard at the coin show was have lots of freedom seed dispensers and lots of freedom seeds. And you guys can take that for what you will. We all know what it means. Well, I think most of us know what it means. But yeah, we need to have the freedom seed dispensers to protect what we have. So your food is going to be worth way more money. Even lighters, get yourself, and this is not financial advice. This is not prepping advice. I'm not a prepper in the term of, some of these major preppers out there that build the bunkers and, have 10 years of food storage or whatever. But, even like Bic lighters, I talked to a lot of preppers, and one of them said that he would actually rather have like a safe full of Bic lighters than have a single gas generator and gas. And the reason is those create a lot of sound. And so if there is somebody trying to come after your assets, you're going to give yourself away to where you are and that you even have one in the first place. If you're building a little fire, well, there's a million ways to build a fire. But anyway, his point is he'd rather have a bunch of big lighters than he would a gas generator. So anyway, gold and silver, just, I know I'm getting off base, I'm getting off course, but gold and silver is not going to be the most important thing in that situation. It's not. It's not going to be like, oh, look at this, magically the dollar's worth nothing, so I guess I'm going to go to the grocery store and the grocery store is automatically going to accept silver instead. Probably not going to happen. I'm not saying I know for sure. I've obviously not been in that situation. There are examples around the world. Venezuela is a good example where you actually can get a nice night in a night in a nice hotel for about an ounce of silver. There's situations over there where they shave the edges of gold coins to pay for, small purchases, things like that. So yes, there are examples of where it's happening, but again, that's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be after the smoke clears. That's going to be after everything calms down and we're starting to see some sort of semblance of civilization once again, and people aren't, cutting each other's throats trying to get, the last scrap of food, like I said earlier. So that being said, you definitely want to have silver because when things do settle down, you want to be set up to put yourself back into a good position as things start to recover. And that, gold and silver is going to maintain value. If we end up in that situation, again, just to be clear, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I really hope that it doesn't, because if it does happen, there's going to be a lot of people that are hurting. There's going to be kids and families on the street with nothing to eat and suffering and starving, and I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I hope that it doesn't happen. I think some of these doom and gloomers out there that, you know, they get in front of you, and I'm not naming specifics, but they're and maybe not even necessarily in this community right here, but you know, there's people out there that get in front of the camera and they say it's going to happen, and they say it with a passion, like they want it to happen. Like they don't just say, oh, you know, this is going to happen, so make sure you're prepared. They're like, oh yeah, you know, when this happens, you know, all excitedly. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want people to be hurting. I don't want kids on the street with nothing to eat. I mean, that already happens in so many places in the world. Even here in the US, there are places where there are kids with not enough to eat. Do we really want it worse than what it already is? I don't. And I think that anyone that actually does want that has other issues that, you know, need to be taken care of. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Again, I'm just a guy on the other side of the camera. So, but that was the two primary reasons, you know, that I heard. It was people, you know, wanting to get their money out of the dollar, and it was people believing that the dollar is going to collapse and the U.S. is going to collapse and we're going to be in calamity and gold and silver is going to save your life. You know, I already gave my positions on those. So where, you know, getting back to the original topic of this video, how much silver do I want in my stack? And to be honest with you, to answer that question at this point, it's probably an infinite amount. But there's also a finite number to that, because I will continue to stack silver on a percentage of my savings, right? So obviously I have an investment portfolio, but as far as my savings are concerned, this is the money that I would normally just sit into a bank account drawing a couple of % of interest right now. You know, a few years ago, that would have been nothing. But the money that I would be sitting into a savings account that's drawing very little interest, that's the money that I want a large portion into silver. And I'm going to say this, north of 50%. And I just gave every financial advisor on the planet a heart attack by saying that, because no financial advisor is going to tell you to put 50% of your wealth into gold and silver, right? But again, I'm not saying 50% of my wealth. I'm saying 50% of my savings. That is the dollars that I would have in the bank. I have an investment portfolio that does not equate into this equation, that does not fit into this equation. You know, I invest in a lot of tech stocks and I have all sorts of things that I don't want to get into here. But the money that I'm saving, I'd say 50%. Now, the other 50%, I do actually believe in this thing right here as having importance. I don't believe in it as holding value. I know the value is going to continue to go down. Look how much debt the U.S. is in. Look how high our deficit is right now, how the government continues to print more of it. Yeah, the value of this is going to continue to go down, which is why I don't want all of my money in this. But, you know, I've said this on the channel many times. The dollar bill is very, very important, because outside of some, you know, certain scenarios, and it does happen, there's going to be, you know, the random mechanic or the random gas station owner that will happily accept silver in trade for goods and services, right? But the majority of them, the majority of your mortgage companies, the majority of your mechanics that need to repair your car, the majority of the doctors that need to help you with your broken leg, fix your broken leg, whatever, you know, whatever it is, whatever the emergency is, most of them, with rare exception, is looking for this. Not this, right? That goes back to the whole, how many people in the U.S. really stack silver? Well, not as many as you probably think. A very small percentage actually stack silver and gold. Most of them are stacking dollar bills. So this is incredibly important, which is why it's not 100% of my savings. If I didn't believe in the dollar at all, like if I thought, you know, tomorrow, if I really felt like I was going to wake up tomorrow and the dollar bill was going to be worth a fourth of what it is going to be today, then I would obviously take it out of the dollar bill. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the dollar bill is going to continue to remain important. So for me, the amount of silver that I keep is based on what percentage of money that I have saved that's not in an investment portfolio, that is literally just saved. I don't consider silver and gold part of my investment portfolio, not my deep stack. There is certain silver and gold that I do buy and flip and make a little bit of profit that I then turn into even more silver. You know, you guys know that. I don't hide that. But I'm talking about the deep stack. Like if something hits my deep stack, like let's say this 5-ounce silver bar right here. This is a 5-ounce. I love this bar, by the way. American flag on the 48 American states. There's 50 states, but you know, the 48 contiguous states. Beautiful. Anyway, if this bar right here hit my deep stack, it would never come out of it. Like until I'm in a situation where I don't have a choice. Like And I hope, as I've said, I've hinted at in this video, that I hope I never have to make that choice. And I mean this to the bottom of my heart, my deep stack of silver. This is the stuff that I put aside with the intent of never touching again. I hope that I die with it still in my possession. Not because I want to be able to take it to my grave. You can't take it with you. You're not taking this with you afterwards. You won't need this after you die, right? I want this silver to go to my kids so that they can benefit from it. Maybe they will decide to just sell it and they believe in this dollar, and I will do my best to, show them how important it is to get some of your dollars out of the US fiat currency or whatever the fiat currency is of their time. But hopefully they will recognize the importance of real money, and they will then put this, their portion of it, because I have multiple kids, they will put their portion of my old deep stack into their now new deep stack. That's what I want to happen. I hope when it hits my deep stack, it's never, I know it's not getting touched again unless something happens, but I hope that it never has to get touched again, because we never get in that situation where millions of people are hurting and starving and fighting each other in the streets and killing each other for food. I don't want that to happen. So I hope that when I die, my deep stack goes to my kids and they can do with it what they feel is the best thing to do. If they want to sell it and put it, as part of a house down payment on a house or whatever it is, or they want to keep it in their deep stack, or they want to sell it and put it into your typical, stocks and bonds and then other investments, then that's on them. But my point is that, as long as I'm alive, when it hits my deep stack, my hope is that it never actually comes out of it. Now, listen, I know this video has been a ramble. It says 16 minutes just on this portion of the video on the clock right now. But if you guys are still listening this long into it, and I really hope that you are, I just want to thank you for your incredible continued support of my channel and allowing me to entertain you with gold and silver over all these years. You guys are awesome. Do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe like I said earlier, and I'm going to put a video up here if you haven't seen it yet. Make sure you watch it. It's a pretty cool one. It's actually the one where I unboxed these things, I think. I don't know, maybe it'll be something else. We'll see what YouTube recommends. But you guys are awesome. We'll see you next time, and have a great rest of your day.